Migration is a cycle of progress and regression. One narrative can begin and affect others with infinite possibilities. But at times, the prospect of possibility leads us to dead ends, time lost, and a life unlived. I am my father's daughter, and this is his story.
José Ceja was born in 1969 in Arteaga, Michoacán, Mexico. He lived his childhood working alongside his 12 brothers and sisters, planting crops and grazing cattle in El Valle, their modest family ranch in the rural mountains of Michoacán. With little possibilities for progress, job opportunities, and village poverty, José and his wife Lupe decided to migrate to the United States in 1990. They hired a coyote off the street in Tijuana and paid him $1,000 to help them cross the U.S.-Mexico border illegally by passing through a hole on the fence into Phoenix, Arizona. José stayed in Phoenix for a month, afterwards moving from relative to relative in Los Angeles. Scared and distorted by the new country, he was unable to find a job in the first 3 months of his arrival. Without money, he was forced to live off peaches and flour tortillas until his extended family, Los Zavala, offered him a job in construction making roofs. Over a year after his arrival, José had his first daughter, Selene Ceja. With a new family, José struggled to fulfill his American dream of prosperity. José continued to work making roofs, but construction soon proved to be unstable due to the growing competition amongst immigrant workers for low-skilled jobs. He and his family moved from apartment to apartment in Inglewood, Hyde Park, West Los Angeles, and Compton, looking for an affordable and stable home. With the birth of his second daughter, Denise Ceja, in 1995, José was even more pressured to secure financial stability for his growing family. Soon after, roofing took a physical toll on his ability to work. In July of 1996, José fractured his back, making him unable to climb, lift heavy material. He could no longer work in construction. With growing monetary insecurity and no ability to perform physical labor, he had little choice but to join the family business and become a narcotraficante under La Familia Michoacana cartel. Selling marijuana brought him and his family financial stability. As his influence grew under La Familia, he expanded the trade to Philadelphia, New York, Oregon, and Washington State. But the dangers were prevalent. The family was constantly robbed by José's competitors, and failed ventures twice left him imprisoned for minor drug offenses. He was thankful for the money, but deplored the trade and what he had become. On October 1999, José was arrested on a drug felony in the state of Washington. Due to previous drug-related arrests and the fixed sentences policy for drug-related crimes enacted by the U.S. government to stop the war on drugs, he was sentenced to 20 years in prison. But with legal support, his sentence was reduced to 10 years and deportation immediately after his release. Within 2 years of his conviction, he decided to transfer to the Taft Correctional Facility in Bakersfield, California, in order to be closer to his daughters. But without freedom, José's ability to see his daughters was tarnished. Due to the lack of immediate travel accessibility and his wife's immigration status, only 4 visits were ever made in the decade of his imprisonment. In prison, José made a living by learning how to make beaded belts, handmade jewelry, greeting cards, frames, jewelry boxes, and bolts from toothpicks, and selling these trinkets to other inmates and people on the outside. He was able to obtain his GED, but was hindered from pursuing college courses in prison due to his immigration status. On October 2009, José was released from prison with a one-way ticket back to Michoacán, Mexico. He was happy to return home and see his family after a decade of absence, saddened by the fact that he will never return to the United States and see his daughters again due to his felony conviction. Today, José finds himself in the same position that led him to migrate to the United States. But now he is 40 and unable to find a job that will provide a sustainable living. Instead, he has little choice but to graze the family cows and sell his own to sustain himself. Today, he resides in his parents' ranch on the mountains of Michoacan, overlooking the city of Lázaro Cárdenas at a distance with little connection to the outside world. He wishes to return to El Otro Lado, but realizes that he no longer has an option.
Ask yourself this: what does it mean like to be in the crossroads, facing a dead end in your life? If anything, understand that migration is not a phenomenon, it's a definition to life. It brings joy, happiness, and life-changing opportunities, but also immobility and regret in a society where the new waves of migration are no longer offered the opportunities for social mobility and becoming compatible with the American dream.